broker with Forest Hill Real Estate. I've been in real estate for now, it's my 14th year, and I recently joined Forest Hill Mortgage Corporation, which is powered by Dominion Lending Streamline Mortgages. Forest Hill Mortgage Corporation and Dominion Lending Streamline have access to over 290 lenders with a single application. And why that's good for you is that, one, very little hassle in terms of filling out paperwork, and we can rate shop for you and also explain to you the benefits and drawbacks with each type of product and each lender. So we can truly find you the best deal with only one application, and that means that you don't have a bunch of inquiries on your credit report, which can lower your score. What is a private mortgage? Well, essentially it is a mortgage loan backed by a property, similar to a traditional mortgage, but it's not through a major institutional lender like banks, credit unions, trust companies. It's a private individual, and it's their own resources, or a group of individuals, or a private corporation that loans specifically, more so based upon the property than the person. So they more want to qualify the property and are less concerned about the person and their history. The next question I was asked was, when should I consider using a private mortgage versus traditional? And I mean, one of the main reasons would be you simply don't qualify for the traditional lending criteria. So one reason might be that maybe you don't have the best credit score or credit history. Two, perhaps you don't have a credit history here in Canada, or you've never used credit before, so that you don't have an established payment history that banks would rely upon. And in the scenario, it might be a younger person, or it might be a person who's never ever had a credit card or debt because they don't believe in having that. So they might not owe a single penny to anyone, and they've always paid their bills on time, but there won't be actual record of them. And so they don't have the history that the banks can rely upon. Another reason might be someone who's new to Canada and doesn't have a credit history in Canada. And just a point to keep in mind, that through Dominion Lending Streamline, we do have private lenders that work with new Canadians, people new to the country. And in some cases, when we're able to access the foreign credit reports, it can really help, although it's not a requirement. I think if you've been here 3 months and you have a stable employment, you can qualify for private financing. So that would be one scenario. Two, an investor might consider taking out a private mortgage because it's fast and efficient. You don't need the same kinds of documentation because the lending is based more upon the property than upon the individual. So if they feel the property is worth the money, then the loan can be approved quickly and without as much documentation, taxes and bank statements and T4 slips and all these things that your traditional banks would require. And then the last scenario might be that somebody is in a mortgage contract already. Maybe it's not coming up till next year, but they want to do a big renovation, and so for a short term they will take out a private, maybe second mortgage, and so they don't break their first mortgage and complete the renovations, and then when the term comes up, then they refinance everything and package it back into one. Our next question was with regards to, should you consider a private mortgage for a long term? And no, you shouldn't. Typically in the industry, we might see 3 month, 6 month, or 1 year as terms for a private mortgage. And why? Well, because 3 months or 6 months might suit someone, for example, who's planning a major renovation before they sell their property, and they need it actually for a short term, or they've just bought an investment property and they want to be able to, renovate it and flip that property, in a 3 or 6 month time. looking at a 1-year term, that might be for someone who doesn't qualify under the standards of, an A or B lender, and therefore we would want that year to work with the client and help them to either establish credit, clean up their credit, build a history, so that we can move them then into a much lower cost mortgage, after the 1-year term. So it's simply not meant to be a long-term strategy for people, simply because of the much higher, interest costs involved. The last question I was asked to comment on was, what advice would I give to someone who's considering private financing? And there's a couple of aspects to that. One, I would want to be sure that I understood your goals, and I would be happy to sit down with you and sort that out and make sure that you're clear and that I'm clear as well, because it's really important to have a solid exit strategy, to have a time frame in mind, to know why you're applying for private financing. And for example, if it's for credit reasons, then let's sit down ahead of time and assess all the factors that might be affecting you now, and then plan for how we can, after say a year's term, put you into a B lender or even an A lender, to get you a much better rate over the longer term. So be able to move you into that is really important to assess. And secondly, I would like to see, because I'm kind of a risk-averse individual, and I don't like to recommend things to people unless I'm absolutely sure that it's going to go well for them and that it's what they want. As a former nurse, I'm very, very big on informed consent, so not just getting somebody to sign on the dotted line of this, let's have this procedure. No, but actually understanding the risks and the benefits. So it would be really important for me to make sure that I've placed you with a reputable lending source, to know the brokerage, and if it's not me, so a reputable broker or brokerage, and also a mortgage investment corporation. If there's anything I've learned over the years, is that everything that we do in life is actually people related, and that includes relationships with lenders and investors and borrowers and buyers and sellers and mortgage representatives and sales brokers. We're all people at the end of the day. And when you're dealing with someone in the community that really cares about the outcome for their clientele, and that they really value a sense of integrity and only will work with people that share that same level of integrity, I suppose that would be really important to me. If I was going to be referring, one of my children or, my mother, for financing or for insurance, or it wouldn't matter what. So that's the advice that I would give. And, the decision is yours at the end of the day. But I feel that I'm very, very committed to making sure that you're making the most informed decision possible about some of these very, very, very important and large decisions in your lifetime. So, thank you. And if you've liked this video and found it helpful, please consider subscribing, liking it, and or sharing it. And if you're not looking for a mortgage at this time, please consider referring me to someone who is. Thanks so much.